In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, National Assembly deputies propose solutions for socio-economic development. And Vietnam and Mongolia to advance bilateral relations. And later on in our world news, Israel's airstrikes hit Gaza's largest refugee camp.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Tan with the top stories. Now, the National Assembly on Wednesday discussed the results of implementing the Socio-Economic Development Plan for 2023 and the anticipated plan for 2024. During the session, speaking highly of the government's efforts in providing support to businesses, National Assembly deputies have contributed numerous solutions to improving the national economic performance in the coming time.
National Assembly deputies affirmed that Vietnam's economic performance has recorded positive results despite global volatilities. In particular, the contributions of Vietnam's important foreign affairs activities have served as the country's growth drivers.
Our party and state leaders have proactively deployed high-level foreign affairs activities to enhance comprehensive strategic partnerships with international partners. These efforts will open more prospects for Vietnam to become a center for high-quality global investment flows.
National Assembly deputies and government members also touched upon solutions to help the country overcome current obstacles and achieve sustainable development in the time to come.
I suggest that the government should synchronize fiscal and monetary policies, including tax policies for corporate income tax of some export sectors, VAT refund policy to release backlogged capital sources and create liquidity for businesses.
Although world interest rates are high, the State Bank of Vietnam has decreased interest rates to pump the economy up. The State Bank has issued a circular on restructuring debt repayment terms and proactively proposed credit packages to support housing for low-income earners.
Additionally, issues related to overlaps and contradictions in legal documents have gained several comments and opinions from the participants.
I see that there is a big problem in that the understanding of the law is inconsistent. We should try to simplify the law regulations so that people are able to comprehend the law and avoid overlaps and contradictions.
The problems in these legal documents are due to inadequacies compared to the current situation. However, the National Assembly and government have vowed to devise specific solutions to timely resolve the shortcomings of these documents.
Also at discussion session on Wednesday, deputies approved the solutions mentioned in the government's report on restructuring the economy. In addition, they proposed that the government pay more attention to boosting job creation and improving high-quality human resources.
The unemployment rate for young people is still high. I suggest that the quality of educational institutions and vocational training courses for young people should be reassessed. Furthermore, human resource forecasts should be strengthened and training should be in line with labor market needs.
Receiving direction from the Prime Minister, the Ministry has planned to implement its tasks to prepare for human resources for the semiconductor industry. Currently, there are 35 Vietnamese higher education and training institutions that providing training closely related to the semiconductor. The ministry has also worked closely with global IT corporations to grasp the workforce needed for this new sector.
On Thursday, the National Assembly will continue to discuss at the midterm assessment of the implementation of the medium-term public investment plan for the period 2021 to 2025, National Financial Plan and 5-year plan to borrow and repay public debt in the 2021 to 2025.
Mongolian President Unagin Khurelsukh and his spouse arrived in Hanoi at noon on Wednesday, beginning their state visit to Vietnam at the invitation of State President Võ Văn Thưởng and his spouse. Following a solemn welcoming ceremony, State President Võ Văn Thưởng held important dialogues with his Mongolian counterpart to discuss multiple issues regarding the bilateral ties. More to follow.
The Vietnamese state president welcomed President Khrel Suk, his wife, and a high-ranking delegation of Mongolia on their state visit to Vietnam. During the talks, the two leaders discussed practical measures to further advance the traditional friendship between the two countries towards the 70th founding anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2024. The Vietnamese state leader congratulated Mongolia on its achievements in developing the country in recent times. The two leaders agreed to enhance the substantial development of bilateral ties in numerous fields, thereby contributing to establishing a new relationship framework in the coming time. In addition, the Vietnamese leader and his Mongolian counterpart agreed to enhance defense and security cooperation. The two heads of state highly appreciated the role of the Intergovernmental Committee mechanism in economic, trade, scientific, and technical cooperation. The two heads of state stressed the need to seek solutions to facilitate logistics and transport between the two countries. Furthermore, the two countries will strive to expand trade cooperation, tourism, people-to-people exchanges to serve as bridges to bolster the friendly relations between Vietnam and Mongolia. Following their meeting, the two presidents witnessed the signing of several cooperation agreements between the two countries, covering visa exemption for diplomatic, official, and ordinary passport holders, the exchange of information, and cooperation in border management.
We agree to promote the goal of doubling bilateral trade turnover to $200 million in the coming years, expand the bilateral import and export of goods, strengthen investment promotion activities, and promote diversification of raw material supply chains. At the same time, the two countries will consolidate cooperation between the localities of the two countries. I believe that the partnership between Vietnam and Mongolia will continue to be strengthened and developed, with the two aiming to establish a new framework for their relationship for the benefit of the people of both countries and contributing positively to peace, stability, cooperation, and development in the region and the world.
It's such an honor to visit Vietnam before the 70th founding anniversary of diplomatic relations next year. Our two countries have cultivated a long-established relationship. Previously, Mongolia launched a movement to protest the war and call for peace in Vietnam. Today, inheriting and promoting the values of our friendly and fraternal cooperation, as well as the beautiful tradition between our two countries, is not only an honor but also a responsibility for us to write new pages for our bilateral relations in the future.
On this occasion, the two leaders agreed to continue to enhance mutual support at international and regional forums, affirming the importance of ensuring peace, security, safety, and freedom of navigation and aviation in the East Sea in accordance with international law.
On the same day, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng received Mongolia's President Unagin Khurelsukh during his state visit to Vietnam.
The Party General Secretary affirmed that Vietnam wants to promote bilateral cooperation with Mongolia in all fields, in accordance with the interests, potentials, and needs of the two countries. He believed that the visit to Vietnam by President Unagin Khurelsukh will contribute to further strengthening the traditional friendship between the two countries, especially as the two nations will celebrate the 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2024. The party chief discussed with the Mongolian president about a number of major directions and measures to bring relations to new heights and strengthen comprehensive cooperation between the two countries. President Unagin Khurelsukh spoke highly of the tradition of relations between Vietnam and Mongolia, saying that Mongolia considered Vietnam a leading partner in Southeast Asia. He expressed his desire to continue promoting relations between the Mongolian People's Party and the Communist Party of Vietnam, contributing to solidifying the political foundation for the relationship.
Trương Thị Mai, Politburo member, permanent member of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee's Secretariat and head of the committee's Organization Commission, paid a working visit to Sweden from October 28th to November 1st. During meetings and working sessions with the leaders of Swedish government, parliament, and political parties, She suggested the two sides continue to promote high-level exchanges and cooperation in the party, state, and people-to-people channels, and advance economic trade investment cooperation. She also suggested strengthening cooperation in fields where Sweden has strengths, such as green technology, innovation, clean energy transition, and green energy, thus contributing to stepping up bilateral relations in a practical and effective manner. The Mekong Delta is a region with many localities that has the fastest public investment capital disbursement rates in Vietnam this year, according to the Ministry of Planning and Investment. Now, there are 3 provinces in the region, including Long An, Đồng Tháp, and Tiền Giang, that are in the top 6 provinces, taking the lead in the public disbursement investment capital. The localities have taken drastic measures to ensure the disbursement of all public investment allocated toward year-end.
This is the Vam Cỏ Tây Bridge linking the Ring Road 3 project with Tân An City, Long An Province. The project entails a total public investment worth more than $24 million. To open for traffic this year, the investors and contractors had to come up with many quick solutions.
We are making efforts to accelerate site clearance and resolve remaining bottlenecks. Thanks to proactive support from the province, the project is on schedule.
This road connects Gai Be district with many localities in Tiền Giang province. Despite adverse weather conditions, loose dirt and difficult terrain, the construction process was efficient and finished in a short amount of time.
We selected contractors with good construction capacity and financial capacity to ensure construction performance can meet the strict schedule.
The provincial authorities have established steering committees to address deficiencies in construction management of local key projects to site clearance.
Along with transportation, public investment capital is also heavily allocated to projects to respond to landslides, high tides, and saline intrusion. Thanks to the government's special attention and drastic measures deployed at grassroots levels, many projects will be completed and put into operation on schedule.
Coming up next on VTV News. Downstream communes of Ha Giang Province still flooded. And later on, 100 years of Vietnam cancer research and treatment. Moving on to other news, Hương Khê District, Ha Giang Province is still heavily flooded. Now, many places downstream of the Ho Ho hydropower plant are underwater. Levels were up to at least 1 meter into many houses, completely turning people's lives upside down. More in the following story.
Nguyễn Thị Hien's house is still flooded under more than 1 meter of water. She has no place to live and is completely isolated.
I put what's important up high, but if it's too heavy, I let it sink. I only have rice to eat. There is no food because I cannot go out.
Nearly 70 years old, but since Sunday afternoon, Nguyễn Thị Hien has not had a rest. She has been immersed in water all day long to clean things up. All of her crops have been damaged by the flood.
I don't know what to eat after the flood.
Up to now, floodwaters in the upstream area of Hương Khê district have receded, but downstream communes such as Dien Mỹ, Hà Linh, Lộc Yên are still isolated. Hundreds of houses are underwater. Thousands of families are living without electricity and water, facing the risk of disease due to environmental pollution.
Whenever the water recedes, we will focus on restoring things immediately, especially schools, health stations, and cultural houses.
Floods in Hương Khê district have left 2 people dead and 1 person missing. The district's education and training department has allowed more than 22,500 students to leave school to ensure safety.
Now, thousands of ethnic households have been able to escape poverty by changing their mindsets. In the Central Highlands region, Tumeirom commune in Kon Tum province stands out with the highest poverty rate. Nevertheless, the locals have found a way to improve their livelihoods and overcome poverty by adopting a mindset that leverages local advantages to make ends meet.
After learning about the benefits of cultivating the yellow cheesewood tree, this man made the decision to grow this particular species on his nearly 10-hectare land. As a result, his entire hillside is now covered in a lush green landscape.
This hill used to be bare, with no trees. Now, I have fenced it off and planted yellow cheesewood to provide a source of wood.
The practice of planting wooden trees has spread among the community, transforming degraded lands in the commune. This has also shifted the mindset of local ethnic people regarding their livelihoods.
The locals adopt the model when they see its efficiency demonstrated in other households. Plans and campaigns from authorities do not work, the locals only follow when they see actual benefits.
Changing mindsets, especially among officials in the region, including ethnic individuals who hold positions in local party committees and authorities, is crucial. This will facilitate the dissemination of the model to the public. Additionally, we will persist in conducting campaigns to educate people about the necessary mindset shifts for economic development.
In a locality with a high poverty rate of over 50%, more than 1,300 households in the commune have successfully overcome poverty after just 2 years of implementing this model.
The National Lung Hospital, in collaboration with the E-Hospital, has successfully carried out a surgery on a female patient whose tumor completely blocked the main bronchus and most of her tracheas. Now, this is a rare surgery, not just in Vietnam, but also in the world today. Tests and magnetic resonance imaging tests show that the tumor was located in a complicated anatomical position. The surgery procedure was considered to be a difficult level, equivalent to a lung transplant, one of the most difficult organ transplant techniques. The patient has regained consciousness and her current respiratory indicators are stable. After a century of laying the foundation for Vietnamese cancer treatment and 54 years of development, the K Hospital has always been the leading hospital in cancer prevention and treatment in the country. The K Hospital has affirmed its position in the Vietnamese medical system by improving the quality of medical examination and treatment. More in the following story.
20 years ago, cancer was a death sentence. But with this 83-year-old patient, she has been treating leukemia for 20 years. She used to refuse to go to the hospital, but thanks to encouragement from the doctor, she overcame her fear of cancer.
I see that Vietnamese medical system is very advanced now. The doctors continuously encouraged me to rest assured about treatment. It was those words that gave me the motivation to live.
Even in difficult cases, the possibility of treatment is only 1%. Doctors always try to find the right method. This 43-year-old patient discovered to have a mediastinal tumor nearly 20 centimeters, which only one case in 5,000 people, and has been successfully operated on.
This is a very challenging case because it required a coordinated effort between thoracic and abdominal movements. The tumor was so large that it pressed on the inferior vena cava and suprahepatic veins, then adhered to the lungs and blood vessels of the thoracic aorta. We controlled the blood vessels and removed the tumor completely.
To detect early and evaluate the status of more than 200 types of cancer, K Hospital has invested in modern equipment. Therefore, overall survival and disease-free survival rates of patients here have increased over time.
Esophageal cancer is one of the least studied and deadliest cancers worldwide. But recently, the overall 5-year survival rate of patients at K Hospital has reached 60%. That is an extremely encouraging number.
From the Curie Institute of Indochina, founded 100 years ago, to the K Hospital today, they have been encouraging patients so that cancer is no longer a matter of despair, but a matter of overcoming and curing the disease.
Recently, Dalat and Hoi An have been officially registered as part of UNESCO's Global Creative Cities Network, joining 55 other cities worldwide. Dalat is recognized as a creative city in the field of music, while Hoi An is recognized for crafts and folk arts. To be acknowledged as a global creative city by UNESCO, cities must demonstrate strong commitments and take concrete actions to leverage culture and creativity as part of their people-centered development strategy. Previously, Hanoi was recognized as a creative city in the field of design by UNESCO. Coming up next in our world news. Israel airstrike hit Gaza's largest refugee camp. An increased risk of attack on U.S. territory. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, Jabalia, the largest refugee camp in the Gaza Strip, has become the latest victim of the conflict between Israel and the armed forces of Hamas. In a Tuesday night airstrike on a camp that is home to more than 100,000 Palestinians, the Israeli army said it killed Ibrahim Biari, a key commander of the Hamas Islamic movement, who participated in the attack on Israeli territory on October 7th. Now, this attack left more than 50 Palestinians dead and about 150 injured. Hamas forces rejected Israel's claim about the presence of a Hamas leader in the Jabalia refugee camp. And immediately after the attack, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry issued a statement condemning in the strongest terms the attack on the Jabalia refugee camp. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, has warned that the escalating conflict between Israel and the Islamic movement Hamas is increasing the risk of attacks against the United States. Now, the target is the Jewish and Muslim communities living in this country. According to the FBI, the ongoing conflict in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans on U.S. territory to a new level. The conflict could incite domestic extremists to attack the Jewish or Muslim communities in the U.S. Now, to enhance the ability to protect U.S. military forces in the Middle East, the Pentagon also confirmed on Tuesday that the U.S. will dispatch an additional 300 soldiers to this area. The Japanese yen fell to 151.45 yen for $1 during the trading session on the Tokyo Foreign Exchange Market on Tuesday. This is the lowest level of the yen since October last year. The trend of selling yen to buy US dollars increased sharply when the adjustments in the previous meeting of the Bank of Japan were not expected to change much. This will make the interest rate difference between the yen and the US dollars increasingly obvious. Meanwhile, the bond market also fluctuated. Japan's long-term interest rates continue to increase from 0.95% on Monday to 0.97% on Tuesday. Now, the upward pressure on long-term interest rates in Japan will continue, but depending on the trend of U.S. interest rates and inflation. Trash collectors, but in samurai costumes, took to Tokyo Street on Wednesday, holding garbage tongs and flicking litter left from the evening of Halloween into wicker baskets on their backs. With their performances based on theatrical combat, these members volunteered their time to bring attention to the environment.
Dressed in hats and boldly patterned black and white tunics, the volunteer group known as Gamihiroi Samurai, or Trash-Picking Samurai, has attracted a large fan base since it formed in 2006, with nearly 800,000 followers on video-sharing platform TikTok.
If we can draw attention on the street, people who have no interest in the trash problem will become aware of it. There are many other volunteer groups picking up trash, but they are hardly recognized by passers-by.
Occasions such as Halloween leave a lot of trash as street drinking has become common in bustling areas and tourist spots. The performances of the trash-picking samurai have made a huge difference to residents of the area.
Normally I don't litter, but after seeing what they did, I started paying attention to the littering issue, and I would stop people from littering when they are about to do so.
By making trash collection a theatrical performance, they have turned an environmental problem into a social event, creating awareness and fostering community engagement. And in doing so, they are not just cleaning the streets of Tokyo, but also sweeping away the apathy towards waste management.
Now before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Now that wraps up our morning news bulletin. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. We'll be back at 3 p.m. with more news updates. Thank you for watching.